afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. So we are going to be talking apocalypse, aliens, and Apophis. Yes, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I do believe we are heading down a track in the world where this year, I think proof of alien life, intelligent alien life, is going to be confirmed. Next year, I think they are going to say that the aliens are coming, and then I think that's going to happen in 2029. Now, an interesting turn of events has just happened. An interesting turn of events has just happened. In the United States, they have just released this. So hang on. The United States government have just released something rather imminent and perhaps a tad otherworldly. The White House has quietly registered the domain name aliens.gov, and I think they've done alien as well.gov, and it's got everybody talking about whether President Donald DJ Trump's long promised UFO disclosure may finally be hitting Earth. Now, this all came to light yesterday. What are we on? I think it was the 18th, and I will be sharing a couple of videos with you guys today. This all came to light yesterday on the 18th of March when an automated tracker spotted the new addition to the official .gov registry. It's managed by the United States Cybersecurity Infrastructure. It's the same people who handle the whitehouse.gov and all the government, you know, all the other legitimate US websites. So now there's no doubt that this is the real deal, guys. Okay, there's no doubt that this is the real deal. This is tied directly to the executive office of the United States. They've even, you know, they have got those two domain names now. I think it's aliens.gov and alien.gov. Aliens and alien. Now, before I get into the crux of this is something I've been following for a while. Now, I want to try and get this as objective as possible. I don't want to come across as one of those crazy people that think aliens are everywhere and everything's an alien and, you know, aliens are talking to baby Jesus and stuff. What I'm going to say is there's definitely something there. All right. With UAPs, UFOs, this unknown phenomena, it's unknown, right? So do I think that there is intelligent life on another planet outside, you know, other than Earth? Absolutely. As far as our understanding of the universe is, then it's a mathematical certainty, right? That if life can evolve on Earth, then it's a mathematical certainty with the amount of galaxies, stars, you know, planets. It's a mathematical certainty that those odds, even if it's 1 in a million, 1 in a billion or whatever, it's a certainty, right? Now, do I think that those aliens have come to Earth in little tin cans shaped like saucers? Yeah, that's where I start to push it, guys. That's where, you know, where I start to push it. So a couple of things can be happening here. First of all, the first thing is they're operating on unknown physics, right? So what's unknown physics? Well, we don't know because it's an unknown. Like there are known unknowns and unknown unknowns. Now, a known unknown would be, right, I know that I don't know how much my next car's MOT is, right? I don't know how much my car is going to cost the next time I go in for the MOT. That is a known unknown. An unknown unknown is the next time I have an accident, I hope it doesn't. The next time something goes wrong on my car, I don't know what that's going to be. Therefore, I don't know how much it's going to cost, right? So that's an unknown unknown. So when we're talking about UFOs, UAPs, and craft operating on unknown physics, they're just unknown unknown. So I don't really want to dwell on that. But what I can say is if there is a way that little green men get into a tin can from whatever star system and zip to Earth, they're clearly using unknown physics, right? Or something we just don't understand or we can't perceive. Or the second option, there's three options. or the second option, they are operating in another dimension. So they're interdimensional beings. All right, they're on another dimension. What do I mean by that? Well, the example I always give is a lion doesn't know a shark exists, right? A lion can go and drink, well, probably not salt water, but a lion would look at the ocean and the sea, and the lion would be like, yeah, there's nothing under there, it's just water. And a shark would be swimming around, and the shark would be like, yeah, there's nothing up there, nothing up there. However, if that shark put some like breathing apparatus on and start to walk, on Earth, he would look like an alien, right? He'd have all this apparatus on. Likewise, if you put a lion in a thing and went down into the ocean, he would then also look like an alien to those, to the sharks. Both lions and sharks live on Earth, but in different, in different dimensions, for want of a better, just as an analogy. So that's one of the ways it could be. The other thing is, they could already be here. They could, these, whatever it is, whatever the UFOs are, whatever the UAPs are, they could already be here on Earth. Now, if they're already here on Earth, the only places they can be realistically is at the bottom of the ocean somewhere or on Antarctica. Now, Antarctica is a very weird place, guys. It's such a weird place. There's so many conspiracies about Antarctica. So much wild stuff happens in, on, around Antarctica. I've got a friend, actually. In fact, he got back 2 days ago. I've got a friend who's just been to Antarctica. He got back 2 days ago. I've just remembered. I'll give him a phone call later. Now, when we talk about UFOs, UAPs, I do debunk a lot of this stuff myself. I debunk so much of it. However, there's some stuff you just cannot debunk. And at the moment, where we are right now with this US disclosure, Donald Trump saying he's going to release all this information, it does look like it's moving forwards now with the United States opening up those websites, alien.gov, aliens.gov. Now, at the moment with these websites, if you try to visit either of them, there's nothing there. It's just a blank page. Or I think error 404. No content, no explanation from the White House, but the timing is what's got everybody talking, right? If you guys remember back in February, Donald Trump went on his Truth Social and he announced he was directing the Pentagon, now under the Secretary of War, under Pete Hegseth, whom he cheekily called the Secretary of War, and other agencies to start digging out and releasing government files on UFOs and UAPs. So for UFOs and UAPs, I think UFOs is unidentified flying objects, and UAPs is supposed to be something. It's like unidentified anomalous phenomena or something. It's just an old term, right? Now, these files are going to be released. Also, files on alien life, extraterrestrials, the lot. He cited. And he said it's of tremendous interest to people, which was sparked by a casual remark from Barack Obama on a podcast where he suggested, where Barack Obama came out quite openly and said, yes, aliens are real, statistically speaking, however. Trump wrote something on the lines based on all this buzz. I'm ordering identification and release of files related to these highly complex but extremely interesting and important matters. So here we are, like not even a month afterwards. So this is happening, guys. This is really happening. Here we are, not even a month afterwards, and suddenly there's a new website, aliens.gov. I'm not making that up, guys. That is the website, aliens.gov. People are talking about this. This is real. Now, this is a domain sitting in the federal government, American, under their cybersecurity administration teams. Now, speculation is absolutely rife that it could become the central portal, which I think it's going to, a one-stop shop for declassified documents, videos, satellite images of whatever non-human craft might be out there, or even a way for the public to report sightings. Some insiders and transparency advocates are saying that the bureaucracy is grinding through the security reviews and declassification, but the infrastructure is clearly being put in place. Can you imagine it? Can you imagine can you imagine being there, right? And can you imagine being there and it just becomes common knowledge? And I think this is where it's going. I'm looking at this whole, what's happening, and I've been doing this for a while now, like 30 years or whatever. The way things work right now, remember the setup and the payoff. So we're in a movie, right? Remember the setup and the payoff. So I think the Epstein files, the UAP, all this stuff, it's all, you know, guys, and it's all scripted, and it's all leading to Apophis. Those of you guys who know, you've been following me for a while, I talk about this all the time. Apophis is the asteroid that's on its way to Earth right now. It's making its closest pass on Friday, the 13th of April, 2029. That to me is terrifying. It's coming that close. It goes underneath satellites. So I've been saying this for a while, guys, and I'm just monitoring this, right? I'm absolutely monitoring this. The situation now, it's moving forwards. This is happening. The United States have now got a website, and I do think they're just going to publish all their stuff on it. It would make sense, right? This is the United States website. We're going to publish all that stuff on there. That's it. Do what you want with it. That's all the stuff now. So I've got a few videos to share with you guys. Where's the first one? Right. I'll do this one first. This is the first video, guys. Okay. So the first video I've got for you guys is this one. Okay, so when we talk about UFOs and UAPs, this is one of the reasons why I don't think a nuclear weapon will ever be used on Earth again. I shared part of this video on a live stream the other night, but I didn't show the whole video because it wasn't really relevant in the context of what we were talking about. So what I always say at the channel is I don't think a nuclear weapon will ever be used in combat. Because of not just this reason, there's been a lot of them, but this lady articulates it well. However, one thing that I didn't perceive, I can't perceive everything, was a strike on a nuclear reactor, which could actually be worse. But anyway, this is why I don't think nuclear weapons are going to be used in combat ever again.
Aliens for Peace. A retired U.S. Air Force launch officer claims that decades ago, UFOs disabled multiple nuclear missiles at the Montana base where he was stationed. Wait, what? 85-year-old Robert Salas says that he witnessed a mysterious force that paralyzed the military's ability to control Minuteman I intercontinental ballistic missiles at the Mamstrom Air Force Base way back in 1967. Salas's job was to launch and monitor nuclear missiles if given the order to do so during the Cold War, which, what a gig. He says he was at the controls on March 24th, 1967, when panicked guards called about an unidentified aircraft in the area. A few minutes later, a guard reported a red glow above the front gate, and that's when Salas glanced over at the status lights, the ones that showed whether or not the 10 missiles he was in charge of were able to be launched if needed.
And then all of a sudden we get a large horn go off, and we know what that means. It means that there's an issue with one of the missiles. So we look at the board, and sure enough, one of them went from green to red. And then very quickly thereafter, bing, 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 all 10 of them went down.
Just think about that, right? Look, and you've got to take him at face value, right? Take him at face value. If there is, some sort of intelligent entity out there, And that's one of the things that I've noticed. They're not calling this life anymore. They're not calling it extraterrestrial life. They're calling it NHI, which non-human intelligence. Kind of AI, right? AI is non-human intelligence. So whatever this is, they're calling it non-human intelligence. Now, the argument there's a strong argument here that humans originated on Mars. Yeah, I'm going there. There was a nuclear war on Mars. Humans fled to Earth, and these are the humans that, and there are, I guess there are ancestors. Now, these could be the Atlanteans. If you guys understand the myth of Atlantis, whether it's true or not, I don't know. But one of the theories is that the Atlanteans fled to Antarctica, and that's where they still live. Now, this is supposed to have happened 11,500 years ago. You guys can imagine, right, the technological advances that they would have made in 11,500 years. You would think they're aliens, right? You wouldn't see like humans in 11,000 years. If we're still here, we are going to have advanced a lot, right? And if the Atlanteans fled Mars because of a nuclear war on Mars, it would make perfect sense that the Atlanteans or whoever, they're like, yeah, you guys are not using those nuclear weapons anymore. Yeah, you're not doing that. They're too powerful.
They all went red.
Now, Salas says he sent a guard over to the missile silos and the guard reported lights hovering above them. After the incident, a full investigation was unable to find the cause for this bizarre turn of events. But Salas says he is convinced the culprit is, quote, another civilization.
So we've gone, some of the wording here in these, in these accounts, in these things that have been happening, and the information's coming out a lot thicker and faster now. It's just we're all focusing on what's happening in the Middle East. We're all focusing what's happening over in Iran, then Ukraine, then Iran, then Ukraine, then war, then mass migration. These things are real, all right, and they're happening. And they're happening at such as, look, guys, it's not April the 1st, right? It's not April the 1st. Not far away, but, it's not April the 1st. The United States government are clearly going to release something. Now, I obviously don't know what they're going to release. I don't know what information they're going to put on those things. I don't know and another thing I've said previously is I don't know what information is going to be accepted, by the scientific community as credible. Because are we going to get just grainy images? Are we going to get like, somebody's handheld phone video of like some lights in the sky? I'm not convinced on all that, guys. Anyway, I've got another video to share with you guys. Is it that one? I've done that one. I've done that one. Is it? No, I haven't. No, there it is. Right. Right. So this is another video I want to share with you guys, and it's a little bit dark. So we're taking a dark turn now, guys. We're taking a real dark turn on these videos. So that's Jeremy Corbell. Now, for those of you guys who I've done previous videos, and one of the things I was tracking on this was January last year, so January 2025. Jeremy Corbell, I've shared it quite a few times. Jeremy Corbell, he says, he's like the UFO guy, right? And the guy in the background, his name's George Knapp. Now, this guy, Jeremy Corbell, he came out January 2025 before any of this, and he said, the lie that you're going to be told is that there is an alien craft slowly making its way to Earth. And he said, we've even got a date. And he said the date is 2027. Now, people are thinking that the craft is going to be coming in 2027. I don't think that's the case. It may be the case. I don't think that there's enough time. I don't think there's enough time to get people ready. So what I think is going to happen is this year, we will have evidence out that is this year we will have evidence out that there is extraterrestrial life. All right. Remember, you've got this setup and payoff. I've been talking about this quite a while, and the more I talk about it, the more I see it now. So the setup and the payoff, right? So you need to do the setup a while ago. Okay. All these little breadcrumbs is part of the setup, and the payoff is so when people say, oh yes, you know the asteroid that's on its way, Apophis, yeah, it's kind of not an asteroid, it's like aliens, or it's cloaking aliens or something like that. So that's the guy basically, and he's interviewing, I don't know who he's interviewing, but just listen to what he says.
Look, man, if you were to die tomorrow because of whatever reason, what do you want people to know right now? Like, what do you want people to know if you're just like fucking gone?
You are not free. And this reality has far more to it than you have been allowed to believe.
That's kind of dark, right? That is kind of dark. And when he says that to me, when he says that,
you are not free. And this reality has far more to it than you have been allowed to believe.
Yeah, it's kind of dark, guys. And when he's saying that now, this is just giving me more weight. So so my theory is this, right? And you know, the video I just shared with you guys there, that is adding more wealth to that to my theory, right? So do you know what? I need to change the title of this. I'm going to put "You Are Not Free" in this title. Give me a second, guys. Sorry, I'm going to do this in real time. Give me a second. Apophis, yes, you are not free. Yes, they are coming, and you are not free. Can I get? Oh, I haven't got enough space. I'll do it later. I'll update that later. But I'm going to change. Do you know what? Aliens, Apocalypse, aliens, Apophis, you are not free. Do you know what? I'm just going to change all of that because I do think that's. Oh, I've totally made a mess up. Right. Right. Sorry, guys. I'm right. They and right, I'm just going to leave it there. I'll re-edit that once I've done the live stream. I'm not going to... right, so what this is giving more weight to... I've changed it now. What this is giving more weight to is my theory of when these, you know... So if you're not free, what does that mean? It means if you're not free, you're in a cage, right? You know, if you're not free, you're in a cage. One of the things I've always said... and I know this is a dark way to look at, like, when you're going out walking in the countryside. But, you know, if you look at a farmer's field with sheep, those sheep think they're living their best life, right? They think they're running around, and, you know, you've got the fence, and the fence is stopping anyone from coming in, and, oh, God, everything's fine. But once a year, the farmer comes and he takes the babies away to go to baby sheep heaven. That's where they're going. They're going to baby sheep paradise. So there's that movie. I'll give you my theory, guys. Let me give you my theory. So my theory on all of this alien, UAP, UFO stuff, I think... And I don't know whether it's going to be true or not, or I don't know whether people are just making this up. So I'm 50-50, right? So this is my theory of what's coming. So 2025, Epstein files released, right? What the Epstein files did is put into people's consciousness, right, of adrenochrome, and all this sort of stuff that you associate with pizzas and hot dogs and beef jerky, right? That's what the release of the Epstein files did. So now people are, oh, God, yeah. Part of the setup, right? Setup and payoff. So 2026, we release the files that say aliens are real. Oh, Jesus, right. Okay, aliens are real. Okay, right. Oh, my God, aliens are real. 2027, yeah, aliens are real. They're heading here and they want to drink adrenochrome or whatever you do with it. And, you know, and these people who have been actively involved in those rituals, they are doing that sort of stuff for the aliens because there's some aliens here already. That's what I'm seeing. They are the that's what I'm seeing, guys. They are the setups for the payoff, and the payoff is going to be Apophis 2029 when the asteroid Apophis comes. That's what we are going to be told now. I don't know whether this is going to be a lie. I don't know whether this is going to be fake news. I don't know whether it's going to be real. But that is what I'm seeing happening now. I'll make this prediction. If we see this year, 2026, that there is a huge UFO UAP disclosure, and those US websites are filled with evidence that, UFOs, aliens, they're real, they've been to Earth, and, all the rest of it, then I'm going to say that they are 100% coming, and I'm going to say 100% they're coming in 2029. Now, look, we're a long way off that yet. And when I said, can you guys remember when we was talking about the war in Iran? I said, right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, okay, if those airstrikes go in on the 28th, because nobody knew for certain, that was the date I said it would happen, but, we don't know, until it happens. I said, listen, guys, if those airstrikes go, I remember finishing my final live stream that evening, the evening before, and saying, right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, if those airstrikes do go in tonight or tomorrow morning, whenever, that should be your first trigger, because the price of fuel is going to go up. We're going to have sleeper cells activated and all sorts of shenanigans all over the world. So that's your first trigger. So what I'm saying right now is everybody's first trigger should be if evidence is released that UFOs, UAPs, non-human intelligence is real and it's understood and people know what it is, the next thing that's coming is they're on their way. So let's just accept what's happening right now in the world. All right, let's just accept what's happening. The United States, they control the domain name now, www.aliens.gov. That is under the control of the US government now. So, right, listen, guys, I'm going to get some comments. I do want this to be a relatively short... Sean, tell us about the Giants of Kandahar. Right, okay. So I'll tell you right, okay. So first of all, the Giants of Kandahar. I don't know if it's fake news or not. I was in Kandahar. I was literally in Kandahar at that time when that's supposed to have happened. I was UK Special Forces at that time. We went and had barbecues with the American Special Forces all the time. I feel they would have said something like, when people, I feel somebody would have said something. So, but the way it goes, the Giants of Kandahar is supposed to be some sort of like giant who lived in Kandahar in some caves. The US Special Forces went in, tried to get him. There was fatalities. They managed to destroy him, and then he got helicoptered out. So that's in short the Giant of Kandahar. Right, I'm just going to jump up, guys, and get some comments. Vanessa Anderson is saying they've programmed people to believe that aliens are all bad. What they barely mention is that there are also positive extraterrestrials. Listen, I'm going to err on the side of caution. I'm going to err on the side of caution, all right? I'm going to try and debunk as much of this stuff as I can. I've also, sorry, let me just skip back quickly. So, if you guys want to know what I'm, a good movie to watch, it's called Jupiter Ascending. Now, in that movie, well, the whole premise of that movie is that Earth is a livestock, not crop. Earth is livestock, and what they do is this, this race of alien beings. They go around just populating planets and then coming back a couple of thousand years later and, harvesting them. On a galactic scale, it doesn't seem that hard to believe. So let's go through some. Okay, let's ask some questions, right? And I don't know the answers to these, all right? But let's ask some questions, okay? Do we think that this adrenochrome stuff is... I should put that in the thing, shouldn't I? Do you know what? I am going to change this. I'm going to have Apocalypse, Aliens, Adrenochrome, and Apophis. So if we believe, and I don't know if I do, if we believe that there is some sort of cabal of global elites and they're sucking this adrenochrome stuff out of people, all right? If you believe that, fine. If you don't, fine. But I know a lot of people do, right? I'm not convinced. I don't know. I'm 50-50. I know a lot of people do believe that, right? So that's a tick in the box, all right? That's a tick in the box. So now go back and you look at that movie, Jupiter Ascending. So the premise of that movie, Jupiter Ascending, is that there's this global, intergalactic race of spacefaring civilizations, and they go from planet to planet, populating the planet. Then they come back in a couple of thousand years' time, and then they harvest their crop or harvest their livestock or whatever. Now we understand that humans could have something like that in them. It gives that movie a whole new dimension because it now bases that in plausible reality, right? Right, I'm literally, guys, there's loads of comments and I want to keep this live stream relatively short. So I'm just, Kimmy is saying, please read it. Right, I'll find your comments, Kimmy. Right, where's Kimmy's comments? Let me find Kimmy's comments. Our DNA has been altered by these energy beings so they could control us easier. Yeah, okay, look, guys, I'll be quite clear. Like with medicine, I'm not an expert in DNA and, biology. What I do know is that humans have 24 chromosomes, but they're crammed into the space of 23. I think it's that or something like that. Now, the only other place that we found that doesn't occur in nature. Now, the only other place we found that humans is when humans do DNA editing. Humans start messing about with DNA. Let me just Google this, guys. Give me a second. Right, so humans, right, okay, yes, humans have 23 pairs of chromosomes instead of 24 pairs of chromosomes, which is found in other great apes. The difference exists because the two ancestral ape chromosomes fused end to end to form one chromosome in the human lineage, a discovery that explains how our ancestors went from 24 to 23 without losing genetic information. Right. If any of that makes sense to you, you're smarter than me. What I get from that is something unnatural happened to humans in our past, whereby two of our chromosomes fused together. Again, don't ask me questions on it, guys. I don't understand it. I'm not, if it was military and guns, bombs, I'd be all over this. I'd be able to tell you everything, the inner workings, how it moves, what happens, and I'd be able to give you references. Now, as far as I'm aware, nowhere in nature never, ever, ever in recorded human history have humans found any genetic sequencing where two chromosomes have fused together. Never. However, we do this ourselves when we are doing genetic editing and, you know, DNA splicing, I think it's called. So it is very peculiar. Right, listen, guys, I'm going to start to close this down. I just wanted to, oh, hang on a minute. Google Enos is saying, Sean, you're underestimating a Chinese nuclear strike. If China starts to lose in Taiwan, if they decide to go to war, China will use nukes. China is building nukes to use, not to store. I don't know, guys. Look, I'm going to stick with what I've always said. Apart from, you know, when I talk about using nukes, I may be underestimating. That may be true. Until I see people testing nuclear weapons, until I see people testing nuclear weapons on delivery systems, on intercontinental ballistic missiles, I'm going to say, you know, that I don't think they're going to be used. I might be wrong. Right, I'm just jumping down to the bottom, guys. I am going to close this down in a second. I want this to be a short live stream. The Watchman is saying pretty epic. Is that in response to the movie? Is it Jason Statham? I think it's Jason Statham that's in that movie. Not Jason Statham. Channing Tatum. It just sounds like Jason Statham. What does this button do? It says, Battle Beyond the Stars was groundbreaking. Having a spaceship shaped like a... Okay. Right, listen, guys, I'm going to close this down now. The crux of this live stream has been... Do you know what? I'm going to change this now in real time. How do you spell adrenaline? Right, I'm going to change this. Sorry, guys. I'm doing my own. I'm doing my own DNA editing. So aliens. Where does it? No, it needs to be before Apophis. So adrenochrome. Apocalypse, aliens, adrenochrome, and Apophis. Yes, that's better. That's better, guys. Listen, we're doing our own DNA editing in real time. Right. That's what we've been talking about on this live stream, guys. Okay, there's stuff coming out from the United States right now. In America, the White House have taken control right now of the website, the web domain names, alien.gov. There we are, guys. The White House secures alien domain name ahead of Donald Trump's anticipated UFO disclosure. This is happening now. This is really happening in real time, and we are watching this in real time, guys. Okay, so the crux of this video was just that. I wanted to give you guys my theory, and I'll let you guys know that these things are not going away. There's more people coming out now, and what I'm doing is I am cherry picking. I'm cherry picking these little bits of information that come out that I feel are relevant, because there's a lot of stuff that's coming out that's not relevant. However, the United States have, I can confirm, a domain which is linked to the executive office of the President of the United States. This is now a federal website, www.alien.gov. That is a US federal website now. I'm not making it up. That's real. Now, I just want to throw it out there again, my theory about why the aliens are coming and what all this means. Now, if it's true, you know, it's going to be, you know, if this is true, it will be released next year. So this year will be letting people know that aliens are real. Next year will be letting people know aliens are coming, because people have to have that time to digest it, right? So let me just share this with you again, because it is pretty dark. So now I've told you guys, listen, guys, if you're joining for the first time, if you've not seen one of my UFO, UAP videos, make sure you hit those buttons down below, the like, comment, subscribe, share, bell notification. If you've not seen one of my previous videos, I've been picking these things out and I've been just saying that these things are not right. If you go through that movie theory, the setup for the payoff, this is the setup, right? And the Epstein files, everything. And this video I'm going to share with you guys now, it's just another one of those, another little data point for that setup. I may be wrong, but I'm seeing that, guys.
Look, man, if you were to die tomorrow because of whatever reason, what do you want people to know right now? Like, what do you want people to know if you're just like fucking on?
Okay, before he says this, right, think about that movie, Jupiter Ascending.
You are not free. And this reality has far more to it than you have been allowed to believe.
Yeah, it's kind of dark, right? That's kind of a dark twist to everything. Right, listen, guys, I am going to close this down. You guys are fantastic. I'll be back on definitely at 8 this evening. If not, I will definitely be back on at 8. However, I may be back on again during the day. I don't know to see if there's any breaking news. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, keep yourselves safe. Don't get probed. Keep your adrenochrome where it should be, and get ready for Apophis. I'll catch you guys later.